Hello, I am Fumi Abe, and I would put some dashi in my immigrant jam.
C'est pas possible! O-M to the G, we are back with another episode live from Los Angeles, the city of dreams. It is true, we are here. I am here. I'm your host, Lucy Pohl. Welcome to Immigrant Jam, the podcast. We're on Melrose. No, we're on Sunset.
We're on Sunset.
At Melrose Podcast Studios. Yeah, across the street from the Chateau Marmont, which means nothing to us. But what does mean something to us is that today is a truly special day because we have an amazing guest. No, we have one of the most amazing humans to ever walk this planet. One of the funniest people to ever have descended on this known universe. An amazing comedian. An amazing guy. Oh my God. What can't this guy do? We're going to find out. But for now, give it up for Fumi Abe.
Hello.
What's up, Fumi?
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm so good.
Yeah?
Just came back from like a little road thing last night, so I'm energized.
Where was it?
I was just opening for my friend J.R. de Guzman at the Brea Improv.
Where is that?
It's like, if there's no traffic, it's like an hour. It's like 40 miles to the east, I want to say.
Oh, the east.
The
so
east.
like towards Joshua Tree.
Kind of.
Look at
kind
me.
of. North of Irvine, 30 minutes north of Irvine.
That means nothing. But
I thought you were from here. Am I wrong?
From here? From LA?
No, you're from New York.
I feel so fucking
No.
insulted
You're from
right
New York.
now.
You're from Soho. You're from Soho.
Exactly.
I knew that.
Yeah.
But I thought you lived here for a long time.
No,
something.
never. I never lived
okay.
here. It always makes me angry being here. It does.
What?
Because I don't drive.
Oh, you don't know how to drive.
I have a license, but I shouldn't. They shouldn't have given me the license. It was a mistake on their part. But I don't know how to drive. I don't like it. I don't like the thought of it. And so it makes me angry being so reliant on Ubers.
Right.
Or people.
It's tough.
Men. I have to, you know how many men I have to sleep with in this town to get
Just
around?
to get a ride to Ralph's? That's crazy. You need more friends. My girlfriend is from Queens, and so she also got her license when she was like 18 or something, but never drove. And then she had to learn how to drive out here, and it is so weird. I had to teach her how to drive, and it is so weird teaching like a 30-year-old person how to drive because you feel like they should know how to do it because they just look like an adult, and they are. You know, because like in America, like I started driving when I was 16 because I'm from Ohio.
So where'd you grow up?
Ohio.
Ohio, land of the dorks.
That is not it.
Yes, it is.
Land of the Buckeyes. No. What are you talking about right now? Land of the dorks.
Yes. So when we moved here, right, we had never been to Ohio. We were immigrants. Yeah. And my sister and I, for some reason that I don't know, we'd never been there. We came up with a song, and it went like this. Ohio, Ohio, land of the dorks.
That's a good one. It's bars.
Not accurate?
You made it up.
Well,
why would it be accurate if
you're
you made
from
it up?
there.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily dorky. It's just
are you
sort
annoyed
of like,
with this? Are you?
I feel a little attacked. I'm a little attacked. Yeah, it's been like 10 minutes.
You're not a dork, so you can relax. There's no problem here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you've proven you're not a dork. You're wearing. Look,
Listen,
you look very undorky. You're like the least dorky person to ever.
Yeah, well, I know. I moved out of there in like 2008, and I've been living in New York.
So then you say it's true. If you would have stayed, you would have been dorky.
But dork is such an interesting word.
It is.
Like it'd be one thing if you said like they're like country bumpkins. Like yes, for sure, they're not cool.
Right. That
I buy. But to say dork is interesting because I feel like you could be in New York and be a dork.
Yeah,
you know,
because
in a
you're
lot
from
of
Ohio.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know why you're shitting on Ohio, but okay.
I mean, it's kind of fun. And
You've been?
I have. I've been to Cleveland. It was pretty bad. I mean, I have to say, city-wise, come on.
This is the problem with people like New Yorkers, like real New Yorkers, is like nothing is good enough because you grew up in Soho.
Absolutely,
I have to take you to like Tokyo for you to even feel something. You know what I mean? I can't take you anywhere.
So true.
It has to be something so crazy for you to be like, oh yeah, this is okay.
This is true. Have you been to Tokyo?
Yeah. I'm from Japan.
I know. Well, I don't know if you've been there.
I've been there. Yeah.
Were you born in Japan or in the US?
was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was there until I was 8.
Oh, you're like me. I didn't know we were the same.
We're the same.
We are the same, except you're a dork.
I moved to Ohio, and your parents moved to Soho.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, wait. So I was 8 when we moved too. So you have full memories.
Full memories, yeah. What do you mean full memories? Like
no, like it's you. That's like your first memories in life are in Japan.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of people ask me like if I was sad to move here, but I remember, I don't know how you felt about this, but I feel like 8 is, you're so young that you don't really think about like, oh, I'm gonna miss my friends in Japan, or like everything I know is here, you know, like I didn't have any of those thoughts. So I really moved to the US with like a clean slate. Like I didn't really think about anything.
Interesting. I really didn't want to move.
Really?
I was really upset.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was like a little like boss in my class, and like everybody did what I told them to do and followed me around, and so I think I was like, fuck, I'm big here. I'm a big deal here.
Yeah.
I gotta start my career over again.
Where are you from in Germany?
Hamburg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I really didn't want to move. My sister really wanted to move. And she was like, if you stop us from moving to New York, I'm going to jump out of the window. I'll never forget that. And I was like, fuck, I have to move because otherwise my sister is going to commit suicide.
Suicidal.
Yeah.
From the age of, from a young age. So emo.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a linguistic question?
Yeah. I wanted
So I don't know why we say this in Japanese, but in Japan, there's a food called Hamburg.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this? Is that a thing?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say hamburger.
No, it's not a hamburger.
Yeah.
It's called Hamburg,
And
spelled like the city where you're from.
What's the food though?
It's basically like it's like a meat patty made from ground. It's kind of like the inside of a burger, but
so
like,
it is also like a burger.
kind of, but there's no bread, and it's just that, and it comes with like steamed veggies, and you
sounds
put
horrible.
and then you put like cool like. What do you mean? I just said basic shit. Steamed veggies.
Yeah.
How is that horrible?
A burger patty with steamed veggies
No, not
in
on
Japan,
top.
where you can have all this amazing food, and then it's like, or you could have hamburger.
Well, it's like a big part
like it
of
sucks.
the big part of Japanese cuisine. Weirdly,
Oh,
it's
okay.
European, but we like kind of Japanify it, and it's like kids love it. I grew up eating this stuff, and I don't know if that existed in Germany.
No.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, patty and veggies. I cannot imagine.
But it's
what you're
not just
talking
if there was a TV, I'd look it up for you right now. But you should have it.
Oh,
since
yeah?
It's named from your
I
city.
don't eat meat, but sorry, I care about the planet.
Yeah. Okay.
But so Hamburg. So it's basically they took. I don't know why hamburgers are called hamburgers, and if it has to do with Hamburg,
Maybe
or if it's
did
just
the Germans
because of
invent?
ham.
Did the Germans invent that
I don't
kind
think
of
so.
thing, like a sandwich vibe?
No, I don't think so.
wow.
No, I don't think
What
so.
is German food?
Potatoes, schnitzel, pork, dumplings, bread dumplings, and
Bread
potato dumplings.
Like pierogies? Different? Like pierogies?
Oh, no,
not at
not
all.
like pierogies.
Okay.
No, we don't. That like they have that kind of in the South, but yeah, it's like heavy food. You know, very like saucy. A
Yeah.
lot of potatoes. Spätzle. Have you heard of spätzle?
I have not heard of
It's like these
spätzle.
like, they're kind of like noodles.
Yeah, noodles over there?
Yeah, we got
You
noodles.
got German noodles over there? I had no idea.
German noodles.
Well, people
They're the
just don't
little
talk
dirndl.
about. They don't talk about German food in America.
No,
you know?
but there's nothing really to talk about. I mean, sausage is German.
Right.
Currywurst.
But that's like saying
wurst.
like, oh, do Japanese people eat sushi every day? Like, I assume you're not eating sausages every day.
People eat a lot of
People eat
sausage.
sausages every day.
Yeah, and there's like sausage stands, like kiosks or whatever on the street. I think people eat a lot of sushi in Japan, don't they?
Kind of. It's like special occasions, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a delicacy, you know.
Oh, okay,
Can't
so-
afford it every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what do you eat every day? Hamburger.
Hamburg.
Hamburger.
Hambagu is how we say it.
Hambag?
Hambagu.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What do we eat every day? It's usually like rice, some sort of grilled fish, and soup is like a standard meal.
Do you think you have a different personality in Japanese?
100%.
What is it?
Well, part of it is because I have like more mastery of the English language, so I feel like, I have more. I can sort of
Swagger.
stretch my personality a little bit. I can be different things in English because I have mastery of the language. My Japanese is okay. I would say it's like middle school level or something.
Oh, okay. Why?
But-
Because you did you not continue speaking it at home?
I
or-
did, but it's like you have to you have to like keep reading books and shit like at the high school level to like kind of keep advancing. And I went to Japanese school on Saturdays, but I stopped going in like middle school. And I don't really, I mean, of course I speak with my parents, but like, you know, I'm not like actively like reading Japanese books on the newspaper and stuff like that. And I feel like if you don't do that, then like it just sort of wanes off, you know? I mean, is that different from your German? Could you write an essay about the Vietnamese war in German? That's my test. Is like, if you could write an essay about that. Yeah, I could do it in English, but I don't know if I could do it in Japanese.
I could. I would probably like stop because formal German, like written German, is a little different than spoken German, as in any language, of course. But like there are some like grammatical rules that I'm not as good at anymore, off the cuff, I guess. But yeah, I could easily do that.
Maybe it's because German to English is more of like a one-to-one.
Yeah, I think so, probably. And also, I continued speaking it at home, and then I had German in school. Like other people had English. Like I had English, but also German, because I went to an international school. So there were those German kids, and we read books and we wrote essays. And,
gotcha. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I think otherwise I would have also lost it, because I know I read some of my essays from the beginning and I was translating everything from English.
Right.
And then when I was 18, I moved there and studied and went to acting school there.
Oh, so then you're totally fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I speak fluent, perfect native German, but my vibe
is
not
German.
American. So people like.
Yeah, because you're too like animated, you know what I'm saying?
I am too animated.
It's a very American thing. I'm the same way, I think.
Yeah. You're animated?
Well, just in general. Yeah, I think so.
More than Japanese. You know that a lot of people say that Japanese and people and German people, or Japanese and German culture, has a lot in common.
I know. They say that. I don't know if this is true, but one time my dad was like, they did a test and to see who would jaywalk, and the only people who didn't do it were Japanese people and German people, or something like that.
Yes, that's such a good example.
I don't know why.
Well, I think it's just a culture of adhering to authority.
Yeah. Yes, but it got both of our countries in a lot of big trouble from doing that.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. They just do whatever anybody tells them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny because in Germany, people will yell at you if you jaywalk, even if there's no car.
Same.
In Japan too?
They don't yell, but they go like, they think you clearly made a mistake. They think you sort of missaw something, you know, so they'll be like,
okay, but they're giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, because they're like, how could anyone want to jaywalk? Surely he is having some sort of like sight problem. Like that's, so they give you like a warning, you know?
I love that. No, in Germany, they assume that you're a rule breaker and must be punished immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been,
yell.
but...
They go, es ist rot, which means it is red.
Really?
Yeah, they'll yell that, or cars will speed up.
To try to scare you?
To try to hit you, to try to scare you. Yes, they do that. I'm serious.
That's
it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
But, you know, it's like, you know, I think in New York, just a New York culture is that you jaywalk. But
here you don't jaywalk.
No, either. Because the roads are so wide, you're actually going to get hit by a car if you try to jaywalk.
It's like Bowfinger.
Yeah.
Remember Bowfinger?
No, what's Bowfinger? Is that a video game? I'm young.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was for Ohio. I get it.
Yeah.
I see how it is, motherfucker. I'm young. I too have been young. Bowfinger is one of the funniest movies of all time. Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin. Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together.
No, that must have been...
Fuck, you're missing out.
Yeah, but that came out like 95 or something?
Shut up. Who cares?
I'm just... No, but it matter.
Have you watched, like, Gone with the Wind?
No, because that came out in, like, 1970s. You only watch
movies as they come out? You don't watch old movies? Did you watch Titanic?
I did, but that came out when I was, like, 8.
Did you watch The Matrix?
But that came out...
You didn't watch it when you were 8.
The Matrix came out when I was in 4th grade. I watched it in 4th grade. I only watch what's out now. I don't go back in time.
That's so weird.
Because I find it hard to I find it hard to consume older media. Like
Really?
for the longest time, like okay, I can't. I was like really big into music in high school, but I couldn't listen to the Beatles because the recording is so old and bad. I just couldn't get into it, and it wasn't until I saw the musical Across the Universe, the movie. I watched that and I was like, but I didn't know what the movie was about. And I was like, oh, these songs are fire. Like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's the Beatles. And then like, and then I went back and I listened to all the Beatles. But like, I have such a hard time like watching or listening to like old things because it sounds bad. It's like bad. It's like uncomfortable for my ears. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Does that make sense?
No.
It has to be modern recording technology, or I have a hard time. Even like older jazz albums, you know, like Miles Davis or whatever, like Sarah Vaughan. Like it's just like.
Do you have like a heightened sense of hearing?
I don't know if it's heightened. It just kind of feels like. Imagine like reading a book, but it's like blurry. That's what it feels like to me when I'm listening to like older recordings.
But older movies.
Same shit. The sound sucks.
What?
The sound sucks.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Really?
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
You don't think you'll watch a movie like you'll watch like The Avengers and then you'll watch like an older movie. Whatever, any movie that came out this week versus a movie from like the 1960s or something. You don't notice that there's a tremendous improvement in sound?
I mean, there's a difference. I don't know if I would say like improvement. I can hear what they're saying and what's going on, and I'm not that obsessed with the sound. Like I'm more into the story and the cinematography and the structure and how somebody tells a story. I think than the sound.
I mean, yes, I am too, but I am.
What about silent films?
I've never seen a silent film in my life.
All right. I mean, are you a cinephile though? Do you love movies? Because I love movies. I love movies.
I mean, they're fine.
Like
I like movies. I wouldn't call myself a cinephile. I haven't seen a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's because of the sound issue I'm talking about. It's so tingy and high, like very high, no bass, high
sound
frequency.
System at home.
No, it's the mics, Lucy. It's not me. It's the microphones.
The microphones?
Dude, I can't. You don't know what I'm talking. You're out of your mind right now.
So insane.
How do you not know what I'm talking about?
Can you guys please chime in on this because I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. This is insane. I think you have like some sort of weird heightened sense of hearing. You must have like some crazy fucking hearing.
You can't tell me that if you listen to like.
So do you only go to see movies in Dolby?
No. I just like it's just like ever since modern technology came into the picture, then it's like fine. So movies from the 80s are fine.
Do you watch movies on airplanes?
Yes.
So what the fuck are you talking about sound?
I'm talking about the mics that they use when they record it. The mics were shitty back in the day, so it sounds very like old time radio, like hey, get them boys, like
no,
you know what I'm talking about?
Not all movies sound like that.
The old ones
but
do.
But Bowfinger doesn't sound like that. It's from the 80s.
No, I'm sure that
90s.
doesn't sound like that.
So
I'm talking about like Citizen Kane or some shit, or what'd you say, Gone with the Wind?
Yeah.
That's probably I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing that probably has
now
shitty
it's canceled,
sound.
so now you can't see it. Did you grow up in a place that was diverse, or were you the only Asian kid when you got there?
I think Columbus is like weirdly diverse because the couple of things like the city took in a lot of refugees while I was living there, so there were a lot of like Somalian kids in my high school. And then there was a pretty like thriving Japanese community because there's a Honda factory in Ohio, and there were a lot of expats. So Is
that why your parents moved there?
Yeah, they don't work for Honda, but they like Honda hires other Japanese companies to do shit. So it was like an ancillary like auto company.
And you moved from Tokyo to
No,
Columbus?
I'm from Chiba, which is like where Narita Airport is.
Okay.
If you ever flown to Japan.
No, I haven't.
You've never been to Japan?
No.
That's crazy.
I know. I really want to go.
Yeah, I feel like they would love you.
Really? Why?
Yeah. You have a vibe.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a Japanese vibe?
You have a vibe that Japanese people would like.
Oh. Okay, cool. I like that. What is it? What's the vibe?
You're like small.
Oh, okay.
So it's like not intimidating. Because I think the general consensus is that Americans are very like tall and big and stuff. And just the height difference alone is like comedic and they won't like take you seriously, but you're like our height, so it's good. It's good.
So I thought it was something about my personality, but it's just that I'm
that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Personality is good. I hear.
I'll go to Japan and be amongst the small people then.
Yeah.
No, I think I would love it too. I think I would like it a lot. I've never been to Asia.
But with this, because you do the voice for the video game.
Yeah, but they have so many of their own stars there. They don't care.
Oh, because they have Japanese voice actors.
They have Japanese voice actors. They have all the anime. They have like so many stars that when they do Comic-Cons, they don't give a shit about American
That's right, because Comic-Con is celebrating like video game culture and also anime culture.
Anime, video game, animation, and they just don't give a shit.
Right, because that's already part of the... I feel in America it's like nerdy still.
Right,
But
there it's like
it's ingrained in the culture, so it's not weird weird that you're reading a comic book on the train or something. Nobody
That's so true.
thinks that's
Which
weird.
I think is so cool, and I wonder how that started. I think it's so fascinating, like that there, and this is where Japan is completely different than Germany and has nothing in common with Germany. Like, I think it's so fascinating that on one hand it is this like authority sort of bound culture, and then at the same time though it's people are so expressive in how they dress and in the art, you know what I mean, that comes out of Japan, and it's so wild and like imaginative, like so imaginative and sort of like out there, the stuff that comes out of Japan, the movies, the art, the fashion, everything is like so that's so different to Germany, where everything is sort of like gray.
But you don't think
uniform.
You don't think there's like a cool art scene in like Berlin or something where people dress cool and there's cool music?
Yeah, but it's different. It's like the stereotype of like this like black and turtlenecks and like or like goth and like more severe like piercings, But it doesn't have the like funkiness of Japanese culture that feels like the barriers of the imagination are like broken way beyond anything really, even in the rest of the world. Like Japan comes out with like the funkiest, funniest toys, and it feels like that's celebrated there,
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't really know how they got there, because I do think just the average person is very like, they call them salaryman. Salaryman is like a corporate guy, a corporate man, and it's just somebody who like went to whatever school, they got a job. They're going to be with that company for the rest of their life. They get married, they have kids. They work 80 hours a week. They hate themselves. And they're just sort of part of the system.
They hate themselves, or they hit themselves?
They hate themselves. Oh, okay. They just like hate their lives because it's like they're just repeating the same thing over and over again. And I feel like in a weird way, my dad was kind of like that, except he's been traveling a lot for work, so it's a little bit different. But it's really easy to just be part of the system, or whatever the phrase is, part of the cog and the wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
But these artists, I mean, I think in a weird way, maybe they find a way to break out of there, or because it's so repressive.
Right.
It's kind of like a scientific thing where there's like so much pressure that every once in a while something explodes, and then it's like a most insane idea.
It's like the counter reaction to that.
Yeah, exactly, because you didn't let him express himself for so long, and now he's coming up with this crazy anime story about how there's giants taking over the world, or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah, there's an octopus floating in space.
Yeah, it's like some shit that nobody would ever think of. Yeah. Octopus is fucking in space. Yeah.
That's a thing.
And that, it's crazy. That's
Hentai,
that's like hack now in Japan. Right? That idea is hack, because it was like everybody's done the octopus fucking in the space trope,
What do you think about yourself is like Japanese?
I don't know. I mean, I guess like I try. It's weird. I feel I've spent the majority of my adult life, especially in comedy, trying to undo a lot of those Japanese elements, because the things that make me feel Japanese, I think generally speaking it's good, but in the American workplace I think it's bad. And a lot of that includes like, always trying to like keep in mind how other people feel, like being empathetic, and like not necessarily like trying not to be difficult when you're working with people. But I feel like in comedy, just and not even just comedy, just in the American workplace, like you kind of like you have to sort of advocate for yourself, and sometimes that may come off as dickish or being a bitch or whatever people might want to say, however you have to sort of be difficult to get what you want. Yeah. And so I feel like I used to be more of that, but I think I'm like trying to throw that away a little bit so I can get what I want in America, because it's what you got to do. I don't know how you feel about what I just said. I mean, I really feel like that's the way you do it here.
No, I think that's interesting. I have a really hard time with that too. So maybe I am really deeply Japanese, because I'm very like accommodating, people pleasing, empathetic. That's just the rest.
It's just the rest of the world. The rest of the world is very much like, hey, are you okay? But America is like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
I also think it's an immigrant experience. I think it's, as a kid coming to another country, I think that is something that has to do with our experience of immigrating somewhere, and having to fit in some way. And so I have this problem a lot, that I sort of like mirror people. Like I'll start talking like them a little bit, or I'll start just like taking on a personality, and I think that comes from that as well. And this like over empathizing and thinking about what other people are thinking, accommodating people, the people pleasing. I mean, you know, if you boil it down, most comedians, if you really talk to them how, you know, they started doing comedy, it is about like, I didn't have any friends, or I needed people to like me, and I made people laugh, and that's why people like me. You know what I mean? And then, but I think that part is something that a lot of immigrant kids and immigrants share, this like need to kind of like make it okay for other people, or not cause a problem.
Yeah.
And I think like growing up and being like, oh yeah, I don't give a fuck about causing a problem, does also come from a place of privilege maybe for some people. Yeah.
Because there's no real consequences.
Right, exactly.
I think for maybe immigrants, there's like, if you do cause a lot of trouble, like you could get your green card taken away.
Right.
Or there's like all these things.
I grew up with that awareness all the time.
Yeah.
Like my parents were always like, you can't get caught doing anything. We'll get deported.
Right.
You know, always.
I remember when I got my green card, they're like, you know, they were like, oh, if you get caught like with weed and stuff, you know, you could get it taken away.
Totally.
And all my friends were smoking weed, and I was like so scared of doing
it.
I wanted to, but I was like, you guys don't have that. Like, you'll just get a slap on the wrist. But like, you know, this could completely derail my entire life if they take that away from me. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, totally. And I only became a citizen like 2 years ago. So during the pandemic, thank you. I still had my green card.
Yeah.
And like when they put the curfews in and stuff like that, people were like, oh, fuck it. We'll be out past, you know. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I feel scared, you know.
Wait, does that mean that, you know, the citizenship like document that you get, it kind of looks like what you get when you graduate college?
Yes.
So I got it in 2015. Or high school, whatever.
Yeah.
I got my citizenship in 2015, so it's signed by Barack Obama. No. But is yours signed by Donald Trump?
Yes, motherfucker! Which I think actually is a bigger accomplishment.
That's funny, dude. That's really funny.
You know what's also funny? This is a bit that I do, but I don't know if you remember that on the citizenship certificate, they only put like 3 bits of information about you on the certificate: your name, your birth date, and then your marital status.
Okay.
And I'm divorced.
Okay.
So this certificate says my name, my birth date, and then it just says divorce, and it's so messed up.
It's just like
what
roasting
the hell
you.
Is that? It's roasting me. I thought maybe I would hang
we'll die
this
alone.
Yeah, exactly. Failed at everything.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You don't want people. They don't issue you a new certificate if you get remarried. Like, I'm now forever and ever the U.S. citizen who's divorced.
I had no idea.
I was going to hang that up on my wall.
I didn't even know. I didn't even look at that. I don't even know where mine is.
Yours says playa.
Mine says playa. This says,
with like 8 A's.
It says Fumi Abe, November 7th, he fucks. Because Obama did. Obama's cool. So
Obama was like,
he fucks.
Hey, that guy fucks.
Yeah. Good times. Citizenship, good times.
Yeah, good times. Yeah. I was nervous, very nervous when I got, but that's not that long ago that you got yours, 2015.
Oh, 8 years ago? Yeah. 9 years ago?
If you were 8 when you moved here, it took you a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we didn't, for a long time, we thought about like moving back to Japan, so we like
That's what my parents were like.
So we like just didn't even try. But then I went to college, and then it was like, well, if you graduate, then like if you don't have a social security number, like it's gonna be hard for you to find a job. So
But you get a social security number even if you have a visa.
Maybe, but the visa that I had through my dad's work, because we were expats, it did not allow me, my sister, or my mom to work.
No, I couldn't work either. You weren't on a student visa?
No, I was on my father's, like, part of his family. So he had an e-visa for engineering.
Right.
And then through that, because I'm his son, we were granted, like,
one would hope,
permission to stay here. But it just meant I could live here, but it didn't mean that I could work or anything. And I was like, this is going to be an issue if I graduate. So.
Right. Did your parents speak English growing up?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not
so
zero.
You grew up translating everything for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was like weird.
How do you mean?
Well, I think when you're younger, like sometimes like student teacher conferences, like you'd have to translate for them, even though they're like talking about you, you know. But I mean, I was like a good student, so they never said anything bad.
You're
but
like
if
in
they
bed
did,
with them.
I'm in bed with
translating
them.
Dirty talk. Oh, that makes no sense because they could do it in Japanese.
Yeah, I guess if it was cheating on my dad, then I would be there.
Son, I'm having an affair and she's American.
And I need
you
you
have
to come with
me.
Yeah. But then, like, you know, like some medical stuff I had to translate when I got older, and like that was weird because my mom got like breast cancer for a little bit, and like that was like such a weird experience to have like your 15-year-old son do that, you know.
Are you an only child?
No, I have a sister. I have a younger sister. Yeah.
A younger sister.
Yeah, but she's only like a year and a half younger than me.
Okay.
So we were only like 1 year apart.
Why didn't she translate the breast cancer stuff?
Sometimes she did. I don't know, just whoever was around.
Yeah. No, but it is. I agree. I've been to the doctor with my dad hardly speaks English, and I've had to like take him to the
that's
doctor.
crazy to me because I thought all Germans spoke English.
I agree.
German people now over there speak English. Right?
Yes, and it's not that different from English.
Is
the
it
language.
That stereotype of like this thing of like, oh, like Europeans, they are so smart, they study English from a young age. Is that a newer thing? Like, did they not do that when your dad was younger?
My dad grew up so poor post-war, and my dad only went to school until the 7th grade, and then he had to start working.
Gotcha,
my dad is like, I think that, yes, those people that grew up that poor and were post-war kids, where their families, his family, they were refugees, like from the like eastern part of Germany.
Oh, okay.
And were like placed in Bavaria. That's how they gave people like placement slips after the war where they could go, because the country obviously was, like pretty destroyed, and so they were really, really poor. So that's different. And and also, yeah. So like he remembers like the first time he had an orange. It's because an American GI like threw an orange out of a like military truck.
What the hell?
And it like landed in the snow, and my dad picked it up.
I'm literally picturing like Schindler's List 5, like the last scene of Schindler's List.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But that's what it was.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So that was different. And my mom also didn't grow up learning English because she was born in Romania, and that was communist. So they didn't teach English, of course. They taught Russian, right?
Yeah,
so everybody learned Russian. And then they moved to Germany in the 60s and were trapped in East Germany, where, again, they learned Russian and, anything but English.
Right.
So there are a lot of people, like anybody from East who was from like the, East Germany. They didn't grow up speaking English.
Gotcha.
And then, so yes, it is a newer thing that everybody's learning English, but I think there's pockets. And for example, the stereotype, like Italians don't know English very well. It also matters if the countries dub their entertainment. So the countries that dub, the people don't speak English well. The countries that don't dub, that just do subtitles, the people speak better English in those countries.
So they don't dub in Germany?
They do dub in Germany. They dub everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen Chris Rock in German.
Well, but it's interesting because
which is horrible.
I would love to hear his bit about what's his famous one? They're black people and they're N-words.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That in Germany.
Right. I don't know if they dub his specials, but they definitely dub him in movies.
Yeah. But that doesn't. I feel like the German thing right now is like, like everybody from Germany speaks English, and same with like people from Sweden and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that's more true now for sure, but. I mean, it depends on what class of people. If it's like working class, they're not going to speak English well.
And the people that I'm meeting here, that are
of
from
course,
Germany, they're rich enough to come here and do stuff. So I'm talking to like upper middle class German. That makes sense.
But it is true that more Germans speaking English than Italians, for example, or even French people, I guess.
Right.
So yesterday I was at the Comedy Store, and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock showed up.
Oh, word.
And we were outside for a while, and then we were like, oh, let's go and watch, And we came in, and Chappelle was starting to get into an Israel-Palestine discussion with this like Israeli woman in the audience.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it was so fucking incredible. It went on for almost 2 hours. The thing is that he had an actual conversation, and like people at one point, she, said like, oh, if it was genocide, we could have wiped everybody out. That argument that the Israelis bring, that like, it's not genocide because we could wipe you all out. And you're like, can you listen to, are you listening to what you're saying right now? And so people started like yelling at her in the audience, and he was like, shut up, relax. This is my show. And I'm having a conversation. And it was so incredible because it's true. Like, we're not having conversations anymore. It's either echo chambers or people yelling at each other. Yeah. And he didn't allow that, and he listened to her. And like some of the shit she was saying was pretty like, to my ears, like I thought it was like kind of like basic and dumb in a way. But he didn't like judge it. He listened to her. He responded to her. He didn't get angry, but he was super passionate. It was so, and then Chris Rock was just sitting there like this the whole time.
On
like,
stage?
Looking. Yes.
He was on stage?
He was on stage, and like every like maybe like 7 minutes, he would just drop like a perfectly fucking formulated joke. It was so amazing. And then he left at one point, and Dave Chappelle was like, Chris Rock is at home right now being like, I'm not going to stay to ruin my career. See you on Peacock, motherfucker. But it was incredible.
So what happened at the end? Did the lady like change her mind or something?
She walked out at one point because, of course, he also was able to make it funny, right? He did. Of course, he's like a brilliant comedian. And for anybody listening, yes, you can think whatever you want about the trans shit that he's been getting into. And he actually said he hates his new special. Mm-hmm. He was like, I delivered my special, but I hate it. But aside from that, like, he's a fucking genius comedian, of course. So he, like, you know, he brought it back around, and part of bringing it back around was that he kept saying to her, like, I think we need to fuck, you know, like, to solve this, which was funny, you know, of course. Yeah. But then she kind of like got up in a huff and puff at one point and like walked out. And then he also started getting drunk, but it did end. He kept repeating, like, this is like, what's happening right here is like special, and it's like important, and we need to do this, and nobody else is doing it. And it's true. He was like, I don't need to do this. He was like, I didn't wake up this morning and knew I was going to ruin my career but here we are. But you know what I mean? So it was really, really incredible. I don't know, how did I get on that? Oh, Chris Rock.
Yeah, it is annoying that now you can just sort of bring it up, and if you say something that's not 100% aligned with what the other person thinks, then already they have sort of crossed you off on their list. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. People aren't talking to each other.
Well, it's not that, like, and again, like, you don't have to always be talking about it because sometimes it's not the right context. But like, for example, I was like just working on this new joke about the TikTok algorithm, and how you can like tell how smart somebody is by the shit that pops up on their TikTok algorithm or something. And it's just like a new joke I'm working around, and to give the contrast of how stupid my algorithm is, I gave an example of like my friend who's like a college professor, and I was looking at his TikTok algorithm, and I said something like, oh yeah, and there was a lot of stuff about like, you know, really smart people talking about like what's going on in the Middle East, and you know how it's like very complicated and stuff. And I'm like moving on to my part about how my shit is so dumb, which is the punchline. But because I said that, some guy just goes, it's not complicated, it's genocide. Like, in the middle of my show.
Right.
And I'm like, this is not even a joke about the Middle East, right? I'm trying to get to this. I'm providing a contrast. And again, it's not a perfect joke, so I guess you can think whatever you want. But to interrupt my set because I said, like, I don't have a political agenda. You know that. Mm-hmm. You know that, right? Like, I'm not even doing a joke about the Middle East, but because I said something, then he immediately just said, it's not a, you know, he said that out loud, sort of like derailing the show, and now everybody's like bummed out. But I think that's so weird. That's a weird thing to do.
But I think that's a perfect example of like people don't listen to each other. And that's what I think was so amazing about Chappelle last night, because he sat there and he listened to her. And that's why I said earlier, like, to me, some of the stuff she was saying sounded stupid, in quotes, which I think if you think that and already are putting that judgment on something, you stop listening. And I probably would have stopped listening in a way, but he really listened. And I think that's why it was also special, because he is the most fucking famous comedian in the world, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And he made a joke about that. He was like, yeah, bitch, I can fucking have you turn to glass if I want to. You know what I mean? Now you know how Palestine feels. You know what I mean? Like you know, God damn. And it's so funny. Amazing, right? Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. But also it's like profound and it's truthful, and he wasn't phoning it in. He was sitting there and he was listening to her. And I think like that example that you bring is exactly that. That's the problem. People aren't listening. They're just waiting for you to say one trigger word that they can hop on.
Yes.
And then say that.
But I'm like, what? But for me, it's like, what do you think you're getting out of that thing you just did? Like that guy who stopped the show to yell, it's not complicated, it's genocide.
Because people don't want to talk to each other. And that's what I think. That's also what happened during...
But he's like in the middle of a show. Like, I just didn't understand like what his objective was in that moment.
Well, I think the objective or the motivation is anger. And they don't know how... Like, they can't like hold... You know how everybody says this now? You have to hold multiple things at once, right?
Yeah.
They can't hold the fact that it is like deeply devastating what's going on, and makes you angry and like plunges you into despair, but it's not somebody else's fault that may think differently than you. It's not like we aren't our governments. Of course we're not our governments. And that's why it is important to talk to each other, because we share a lot. And I think, you know, he made that point yesterday. And I remember during the pandemic, I had a friend who was like completely anti-vax and like on this like sheeple thing. Everybody's a sheeple, blah, blah. And I said to her, I was like, the people that you are so angry at believe what they believe with the same amount of conviction as you believe what you believe. So maybe you have more in common than you think. And I think that is important, right? Like we have to keep our humanity and talk to each other. But the problem is that people aren't listening.
Yeah.
They already know what they think. They don't want to talk, you know?
I was having this conversation the other day. I think there's something about like tribalism that is like deep within the biology of our being, and whether it's Democrat, Republican, or whatever, you know, because I don't even necessarily agree with what he said. He said it's not complicated, it's gentrified. I'm like, well, I think it is complicated.
Yeah,
I don't
of course
think
it
that's,
is. Everything is.
If you look at the history, it is very complicated. I'm not saying one side is right, one side is wrong. I just think it's a complicated thing, and there are like many innocent people's lives are being lost on both sides, you know. But yeah, I just think like, but it's easy to just be like, it's black and white. Pick a team.
Right, exactly.
And then it's just easier to not have to think so much. So I wonder if there's some sort of, it's tribalism, but it's also like this, I don't know, maybe this thing you're talking about, this lack of listening and lack of having a conversation about something comes from like, I don't know if laziness is not the right word, but maybe there's something about like, I don't want to think. I just want to do.
Maybe also the reason why a lot of people like flock to religion. Like it's hard to hold like contradicting feelings and thoughts. And so people want answers. And it's hard to go, there's not like one answer except that it's wrong to kill innocent people. And one side is stronger than the other, so we have to admit that it's not an equal fight, right? You know, right. But I think that that's really hard for people to hold, and I think that in this case, a lot of people feel like, oh, if you say anything against, you know, one side or the other, then that means that you're anti this or that, you know. And I think that's why so many people are like, you know, flock to religion, because it simplifies everything and it gives you the right or wrong answers.
You an answer.
Who's bad, who's good, what's bad, what's good.
Yeah.
If your thoughts are bad, you know what to do. You go into the little box and you tell the person, and then he tells you what to do, and then you get rid of it, and then you can do it again. And you know what I mean? Like it's all sort of like taken care of for you. And I think that I'm not even judging those people. It is hard to like not have answers.
Absolutely. It's very frustrating.
And be like, why? How come like a person like who's evil can also be super sweet? Like what's that? You know what I mean? How come like somebody who's like the nicest person ever goes out and gets killed by someone all of a sudden? You know, like how does all that work? Like how do you hold all that? How come like I can empathize with these people, but I also think what they're doing is wrong?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You know?
I think you're right. I think it's just like, it's easier to just pick a side, and that's why I thought it was so cool that he was like he like conducted the crowd. He was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not yelling at this lady, or we're not, you know, yelling at each other. Like we're listening and talking, and it was cool. Well, way to bring it down, people. What do you have to say about Japan then, huh, Fumi? Yeah. I mean, listen, by the way, the listeners, I'm not an expert in anything, by the way, so please don't take anything I'm saying seriously.
Yes, you are. You're an expert on Ohio dork culture.
Yeah.
So what's your, most prominent memory of your first days in America?
I remember like I couldn't speak English, and then everybody I was in second grade, and I couldn't speak English, and people were like, oh cool, there's like a student here from Japan, and they kept being like, how do you say my name in Japanese? And I just gave everybody Pokemon names. Because at the time, Pokemon like wasn't in America yet. This is like 1998, so
Wow,
I knew what
that's
Pokemon was, but it wasn't in America yet. So I just gave everybody Pokemon names.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
Were you obsessed with the food? I remember being obsessed with like the spray cheese and stuff like that, and like Lunchables.
No, I thought it was nasty.
Oh really? I wanted it.
Lunchable. I mean, I got it because of peer pressure, but like, by
Did your
no
parents
means.
give it to you? Did your parents
Sometimes.
give you weird lunches?
No, they always made me like sandwiches, but you know what it is? Like, looking back, I just think people from other countries like have a higher standard of food, and so like my mom would make me a sandwich, but it was like a good, healthy sandwich with like good ingredients, like from Whole Foods and shit.
Yeah.
And I think most of the kids like were eating awful sandwich, like sandwiches that don't look good, but then they would look at mine and be like, "What's that?"
Yeah,
you know, and it's like it's lettuce. I don't fucking.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
My mom would give me yogurt, and that was in the 90s. Nobody was eating yogurt.
Yeah,
and
like
people were like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's yogurt."
That's crazy.
Crazy. They'd flip out, and she'd give me these like little whole wheat like pretzel things.
Yeah,
and people would be like, "What is that?" And I didn't know what a deli was, so I said it's from the store on the corner.
Yeah,
and they laughed at me.
Yeah, like she knew not to pack me like Japanese food, but like I just realized having like good food, like if you bring any food that has sustenance to an American high school cafeteria, people go, "What is that? Like, why aren't you eating waffle fries?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Where are your Doritos?
And I would never, like, looking back, it was the most insane thing, and I totally understand why my parents didn't understand, like, why I wanted to eat shit that would give me cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. I mean, I think it's changed now, maybe.
Not really. The food culture is so insane in America.
There's a lot of waste. I remember a lot of waste. So I remember in Japan, the way lunch works is you eat in your classroom. There's no cafeteria. You eat in the classroom, and they bring the food to your classroom, and then they make you clean the classroom afterwards. The students have to clean.
Wow.
And they just bring like these sort of like, I don't know if it's like this anymore, but everything is in like sort of like a kind of like a communist like tin colored thing for some reason.
Okay.
It really looks like war vibes. Like all their plates are like made of silver, not silver, but like that tin material.
Yeah, right.
Like kind of like soldiers.
Yeah,
you know? And you have to finish. So you go. It's like a buffet style. You go up. There's like soup. There's some rice. There's some protein. There's some veggies. So you put however much you want on your plate and you eat it. You have to finish it, or you can't go to recess. They make you finish everything. You can't go to recess. But in America, they like, if you take a bite of the pizza, you don't like it, you just dump it. And just like the amount of waste blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Blew my mind.
My friend said that to me when I would come back to Germany to visit, and we went out to breakfast once. I remember I was like 17 or something, and I didn't finish and she was like, "You're so American now." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Look at all this food you're wasting. Yeah. That's not something we do. Don't you know that?" And I was like, "Oh shit."
No, I mean, again, it's one of those things where like I don't even think it's a Japanese thing. I just think like people in other countries are more like appreciative and like portion control, but also just like, hey, let's just eat what we can. Yeah. And here there's like this gluttonous culture that's like, order whatever you want and you don't have to finish it, you know.
It's true. In German, there's even a saying, it goes so far as to how you should behave at the dinner table. It's wer beim Essen singt, kriegt ein Mann, der stinkt und trinkt, which means those who...
That rhymes.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. Those who sing, well, it's actually for girls. If you sing during dinner, you will marry a man who stinks and drinks.
What? What does that have to do? What is that? Okay.
It has nothing to do with waste. I'm just saying, like, the like culture around eating and like how serious they take it.
It's a serious event.
You know, it's a serious event. Yeah. Like, you're not singing at the table.
I feel like Americans are always singing during dinner.
But that's also because Japan, Germany, Europe, it's post like the war. Like, people didn't have food, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a different thing. They're here, land of abundance.
All those like little things that, like those sayings. I was just talking about this with my friend. They're all like, I used to think like that makes no sense, but now I realize like a lot of it has to do with it has to do with money. Like they're trying to get you to save money. So there's like all these sayings. Like I know in Korea they say if you sleep with the fan on, you die. But I think it's like it's them just being like we don't.
Electricity.
I think it is, and there's so many things like that. Like I remember like.
Wait, did you grow up with cool?
Yeah, like
Japanese
I feel like.
sayings?
I don't remember the saying, but I remember like it was something like if you don't finish all the rice, you go blind, or like it's a lot of like it's just like threats. They're like threats because like we don't have. And as a kid, you believe it, and as an adult, you're like, wait, that's not true. But then, as like a real adult, you're like, oh, it's not about the truth. It's like a quick way to teach kids how to save money.
That's so
we
funny.
don't have money.
Wait, so I looked up some Japanese sayings, okay?
Yes,
because
please.
I love sayings. A samurai pretends to hold a toothpick between his teeth even when hungry.
Even when hungry?
Even when hungry. A samurai pretends to hold a toothpick between his teeth even when hungry.
I don't know what this last word is, but it says bushi wa kuwanedo. It means when warriors aren't eating. I don't know what this last 3 letters are.
That's probably the toothpick word.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I guess that makes... So does that mean, like, fake it till you make it? Is that what this is?
I guess that's what it means. Yes.
Fake it till you make it. Japanese version is samurai will hold a toothpick in his mouth even when he's not hungry.
There's one that's weird that I couldn't figure out. Something about, well, dumplings over flowers is nice, but hands come out of my throat. See that?
Oh,
one?
that's how hungry you are? Yeah, nodo kara tega deru.
That's
yeah,
very dramatic and kind of like, that's
Someone,
like kind of anime inspired.
Yeah.
Hands come out of my throat
that's
if you're hungry.
Idea. Yeah, someone wants something so bad. Oh yeah, so it's not just food, it's just...
How do you say that?
How do you say this? Nodo is throat. Nodo kara tega deru.
Oh, nice.
But see, like grammar is different. So like,
yeah, right.
It's from the throat, my hand appears.
Amazing, so poetic.
It's not like hands come out of my throat.
Right.
It's like everything is backwards.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Fumi, we've come to the point in this little interview where we must play a little game.
Please.
Fumi Abe, by way of what was the city called you're from?
Oh, Chiba is the
Chiba
state. Is the prefecture I am from.
Fumi Abe by way of Chiba, by way of Columbus, Ohio. No one's perfect. I mean, no one truly is perfect.
You're losing all your Ohio listeners right now.
I know. By way of New York City, which misses you by way of LA. Are you ready to play the poll questionnaire?
Let's do it.
If you were president of the United States of America, what American food would you ban?
Ban? Ranch.
Ooh, people
it.
fucking... I went to a pizza place here.
Yeah, the pizza
and
thing.
they ask you if you want ranch.
It's the most
I was like, are you
insane.
fucking insane?
I barely want to see it on a salad,
Yuck.
let alone like
Yuck.
French fries or like pizza.
So gross.
No more
Disgusting.
Ranch.
No more ranch. Get the fuck out of here. I like it. If you could deport one American person, who would you deport?
Elon Musk.
Nice.
He's not American,
Yeah.
but
Fuck
let's get him
that
out
guy.
of here. Let's get him out of here.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I went viral for trolling him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was in the Hindustan Times.
Hindu. Oh, really? But were people getting mad at you? Because he's got a lot of stands.
They were getting mad at me equal parts.
Yeah.
But he does have a lot of stands. Okay. What's the most Japanese thing you've ever done?
One time I was like hooking up with this girl, like by the door. Like when we walked into the apartment, we just started hooking up.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait a second. And I took off my shoes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I didn't want her to bring in the shoes into my apartment, so I asked her to take off her shoes too.
She's like all like got like lingerie. It's like part of her outfit. And you're
Yeah,
like, can you just the heels?
I just can't with the shoes.
No, I can't with the shoes
I don't
either,
care what you
actually.
say about me. You can't with the shoes in the house, dude. What are you doing? I don't want to clean. Yeah.
I love that. What's the most Ohio thing you've ever done?
I don't know. Made out with some chicks in a bonfire. I don't know.
Oh, that's an Ohio thing. I
Listening
gotta get out to
listening
Ohio
some
more often.
Nickelback, you know. That's a thing. Middle school, because there's nothing to do, so we have like bonfires and we just have like these backyard parties and like you drink alcohol and you like make out with people.
Snort fentanyl.
Not where I grew up. We were nice Christian kids. Yeah.
Okay. If you could add one amendment to the U.S. Constitution, what would you add?
Oh God, I don't even know if I can name. Oh wait. Oh, amendment.
Yes. Amendment.
Oh, so you can change.
Yeah.
If you say something racist, you have to give the victim $20.
I love that. That's great.
And then it's cool. And then it's forgiven.
Okay, I like it. Okay, two more questions.
Racist tax.
Racist tax.
Yeah.
I like it. Two more questions. If you had to make up a catchphrase for the United States of America, what would it be?
A catchphrase?
Yeah.
What America is about, or just any catchphrase?
No, for what America's about. For America.
For America.
Like if you were like,
what is the catchphrase right now?
There is no
America
catchphrase.
fuck yeah? Is that?
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Oh my God.
Or let's put it this way: if you had to give America a Pokemon name, what would you give it?
Oh, that's a good one. I feel like America is. I feel like America's kind of like Snorlax. You know what I mean?
We got to wrap this up, Fumi. I could talk to you for hours. I have one more question. I want you to take this seriously. Please answer earnestly and sincerely.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
Do you know how I can meet David Hasselhoff?
Who is that again? He's the Baywatch guy? Mm-hmm. Is he dead?
No.
Is somebody dead?
No, he's not dead.
I thought he was dead.
No,
That's
he's
Patrick.
not.
I get him and Patrick Swayze confused. Patrick Swayze is dead.
Yes. You know Patrick Swayze.
I just saw the movie Ghost.
Oh,
and I was like,
you watch old movies, you fucking. What
it's
the
not
fuck?
that old. The sound is good. The sound
No,
is good.
that's so old. That's older than Bowfinger. It's mad
90s,
old. That's from
90s.
91.
I think that you need to go to. I just feel like, what does he do now? Is he still act?
I don't know. I think so.
I feel like you
He's
just
David
have to
Hasselhoff.
go to. You have to just go. I think it's actually kind of easy.
Okay.
LA people love like little screening red carpet events.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that for a long time in New York, I just thought that was only for like Avengers.
But
like,
they do it for everything?
everything, TV shows, even just like
Going
for-
to the store.
just like movies and TV shows that aren't like on networks. They're just kind of
Yeah.
like independently made and stuff, which like, hey, feel free to celebrate, but like people just love that kind of shit. So I
Right.
think you just have to go to one that he's at, and I think it's fairly easy to get into one of those if you like know someone.
Okay.
You go,
Okay.
and then you accost them.
Fumi Abe, where can people find you online?
Hell yeah. Please follow me on all the socials at the Fumi Abe. That's TheFumiAbe. I post a bunch of stand-up clips on there. Come see me live. I don't know when this is coming out, but San Jose, I'll be there February 28th. And you can find the rest of the dates at FumiAbe.com. I also have a podcast called Cash Cuties, where we look at our friends' credit card statements and judge their spending habits with love. It's a personal finance podcast, but comedy, that I do with my friend. So please check us out wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Amazing. Don't need to say anything else. Check out Fumi. Follow him. If you don't already, what are you doing with your life? Why
What
are
are
you
you doing?
wasting
What are you
your
doing?
life? Thank you to all our patrons. Lumi, JT, Gio, Craig, of course, Mike, and douchebag Steve. And you all know who you are. We love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. You're the best. Give us a little rating, a little review. Do it. It takes 2 seconds or maybe 30 or take 2 hours. It doesn't matter. Just do it. It helps so much. Check us out. Love us. Love each other. Hug each other. Fumi Abe, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you to
Thank you,
Melrose
thank you.
Podcast Studios. See you later. Goodbye.